speaking of that, then let's jump into Oath. So
Yeah,
so speaking of Oath, okay, so we're gonna I say we do a little talk about Wanderers of Ys, the SNES version.
that's all on you because I have never played that.
Okay, Wanderers of Ys, like Jonathan said, plays kind of like Zelda 2. The good of it, I mean, it's a Ys game. It has this kind of story. It has the same music, but just the way, because imagine going from where you don't attack, but it's over the top kind of isometric to side. It's like going from Zelda 1 to Zelda 2, but you didn't attack in Zelda 1, and suddenly you attack in Zelda 2,
Yeah, yeah.
but only sideways. And then on top of that, that game has an issue, and this is going to be the bad. It doesn't have any kind of like directional map or anything, but everything's side scrolling, so it's really weird. Like you get the weird. It feels weird to travel around the world in that way. Kind of like Rygar, like
Yeah.
the original NES Rygar. Like it kind of felt weird to travel around because you kind of lost track of where you were. And the other bad is that game, there's only two things. You're either under leveled or you're over leveled. There's no middle ground. Like
Yeah.
grinding in that game, like you're like, man, everything here's tough, and I one shot everything. There's no middle ground in Wanderers.
Yeah.
You just are under leveled or over leveled. There's no way. There's no middle, and it kind of makes the game flow really weird. That's pretty much all I have to say about Wanderers because I played it like I said, I played it as a kid and I hated it. I played it way later and I was like, I guess. But because when you play Oath, it's like if someone gave you the sweet, sweet deliciousness of Captain Crunch, and before that, all you had was King Vitamin.
What the hell is King Vitamin?
Think of the most generic Captain Crunch you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Captain Crunch that's so generic, even Walmart doesn't hold it. Yeah, look up King Vitamin.
Right.
That's
King Vitamin.
It's so bad. It's so
I
bad.
hope you
Are you googling it right now?
yeah. King Vitamin.
And everything they were shipping.
You had to put some pictures of this
Yeah.
in the video. My favorite is the one that has an actual picture of an old man eating the cereal.
Yup. But so jumping from that to jumping into Oath and Felghana, which is funny because you play Wanderers of Ys, which the game makes sense because okay, I'll talk about the story because the story in both of them is pretty much the same story. Is that after the events of the first one, Adol and his friend, I forget what his friend's name is,
Dogi?
yeah, Foggy or something like that.
Dogi, not Foggy.
Just kind of want, or like, well, there's a whole world of adventure out there. Let's go check out the whole world, and thus,
If I'm not mistaken, they go to Felghana because Dogi is from
they go to
Felghana.
Dogi's hometown. They go into his hometown because he wants to go see what's going on. And in the first game, they only mentioned the word Felghana once because most of the game takes place in that one town. Actually, it only has one town, but they do mention at one point that it's the city of this in the country of Felghana.
Yeah.
But they only ever mention it like one time in the first game. In the remake, they talk about it a lot more. But
This is when they really establish that Dogi is able to push through walls like a boss, like he's the fucking Kool-Aid man.
Oh yeah, Adol's best friend. Adol meets Dogi in 1, and they're instant best friends because everyone loves Adol.
Yep. And Dogi will be in every other East game from now on.
Which at least they established that, but they kept it that he is his best friend. Like Dogi's like, I'm here and I'm your ride or die to the end. But
family.
Yeah, family. But so they get to Dogi's hometown and shit's pretty bad and stuff's going on like with the Castle of Valencia, which is like the nearby governor's castle, and you're investigating, you're trying to find out what happened, and that's like where the story sets you off of what's going on in this city in the country of Felghana, that where Dogi's hometown is suddenly shit. And when they remade the game for Oath and Felghana, they went back to the over the top, but now you can attack. Now it has attack animation.
Yeah.
So this one plays a lot more like a I don't even want to say like Zelda because it doesn't really play like
It's like
Zelda.
no, this is when the series kind of finds its own feet. And I think it actually, Oath of Felghana was released after a later game in the series where they kind of refined the controls, but we're not going to talk about that game today. But at this point, it kind of jumps into a PS1 era kind of style of games. And I would say it'd be closer to, was it Alundra? That was like a,
Yeah, kind of like Alundra.
but it's faster and you can jump. And at this point, the series really kind of finds its own style, its own
Yeah, because it's not quite Zelda.
twist on.
It's not quite um like Alundra. Like it's a more actiony.
Yeah, so it definitely it plays from a kind of tilted camera angle, similar to like how Alundra or some other PS1 era ones did. The backgrounds are a little bit more like 3D rendered, while the characters still look a little bit semi drawn. And but it comes together really well. And the thing that I like about it is just the pace of it. It feels so much faster. You feel like you're way more in control of the game, which is good because when you get to the boss fights, you're going to need to be very much in control of yourself.
Yeah, like the
So let's go into the good then, because I feel like we're going to just say all the good things now.
So I'll do the first good. God, this game it's just fun. Like
yeah,
it's just
this is honestly a game. I go back to this game every couple of years. It is an immensely fun game.
It's super fun. The soundtrack is phenomenal. It looks gorgeous. It plays really well. Like never that I feel like the game was making me lose in
yeah, whenever you died, it was like, oh, I slipped up there. Oh, I timed that attack a little bit wrong. Or oh, if I had held on to my item for one more hit, or like held on to my my attack for one more second, or something like that. Like things like that.
Yeah, and to its credit as a series, I never felt, except for like one or two bosses in the first two games, that the game was cheap. I always felt like I fucked up in some way.
Yeah.
But Oath and Felghana really, like there was never a fight in Felghana where I was like, God, this is fucking bullshit. It was
one of the things that I liked about it was that the fights were, like we were saying, were difficult but fair. But also, one of the things that was a great advantage to this one was that when you leveled up, even just one level, you felt it. So, like, if you were in a fight and you're, like, trying to fight it, and you're doing your best, and you're just like, I just cannot get past this boss, it was very easy to go out, grind a few levels, and then you're like, okay, now I'm on equal footing with this boss. Now I have a chance to do it. And they did a very good job of balancing out, like, what level you should be, how easy it was to level up a level or two higher than that if needed, and how difficult the bosses were. Like, they did an excellent job on balancing that stuff in this game.
Yeah, and so as a good, the story is coherent. It makes a lot more sense. It's, again, very tropey, very old, like 90s anime. I'm not talking. These stories aren't gonna win any kind of fucking awards. Like not anymore. Yeah. And they're predictable, and like again, you know what's happening before the characters do. You're like, really? Come on, Adol, come on, man.
Yeah.
like, come on. But it's coherent, and it gets you where you need to go, which is just to move the game along. Like honestly, these are the kind of like old thing with old games where the story is to push along the game, not the reverse. The game isn't to push along the story.
Yeah. Yeah, the story in this one, there's like something like, oh, I'm this leader and I'm kind of corrupt and blah blah blah. It's not, again, it's not going to blow you away, but the gameplay itself is definitely worth playing.
Yeah.
One thing that they did that they changed in this one, and I believe this is based off of the battle system in the game that's further in the series that they used the engine of to remake this one, is that when you are fighting things, you don't really have like healing items like you did in the first one and the second one. When you kill bad guys, they'll drop healing things, and there's like timers for like the faster you're able to kill bad guys and the longer you're able to go without getting hit, you get kind of bonuses to how much XP you're getting, how much health you get restored, things like that. And I can't remember if this is in this one. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Ys also generally has a system where, like, once you get an item in the game, when you don't move, you can like regain your health.
There's usually a specific item that gives it to you.
Yeah, and I believe they had that starts in this one. I can't remember if it had it in the first, second one. But if you are getting worked, you can find a quiet corner and kind of stand there and get your health back.
Yeah, one of the things for anyone who's interested in playing these games with the boss fights, like one of the, and this is I'm gonna put this in the good, and this is kind of the series, is when you die at a boss, you can just instantly continue right from the fight, not have to do the
Yes, thank God. You don't have to sit through cinematics. You don't have to sit through. It'll ask you like continue or quit, and if you quit, then next time you load, you'll load up at your save point. Which like if you need to grind more levels or so, and they always put a save point
right before
close to the boss fights,
yeah.
which is awesome. So, but it's great because when you die, you're not like, oh, I got to walk through this stuff and do all this stuff again. You know, the things that if you're dying like 4 or 5 times, by the 4th time, you're just like, fuck this game. Why are you making me do this?
Yeah, that's what makes it feel like you're not it's not frustrating, is because you could just be like continue and you're right back in the fight like instantly. So you're right back into it. The one thing to keep in mind is you can't pause during most of these games boss fights. Like for some reason the item menu and pause don't work during boss. So once you're in a boss fight, your ass is in it.
And that's not just this game. That's like the majority of the Ys games from this point on.
Yeah, like when you're into a boss fight, like your ass is on in that fight, and there's nothing you can do until it's done.
Yep.
So bad. I
don't have a lot of bad to say about this.
I'm really hard pressed to find any bad outside of, again, the story's kind of weak and it's very tropey. You know what it's gonna happen. The main female character in this one, I liked a lot of the women in 1 and 2. She's worthless. She is just annoying, and like she's a wilting flower character. Where in like the first Ys game, there's a lot of women characters and they're all different and interesting to varying degrees. This one is she's awful, just awful.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say the only major down thing that I could say is that every once in a while there were areas where you do jumps, and occasionally, because of how quickly you move in the game, the jumps can be a little bit tricky to land. Never game-breakingly so. It's always just like, oh, I fell, loop back around and jump again. But that's not the case in some of the later games, and when we do our next Ys video, we'll talk about that. But that's the only like minor gripe that I have. Like again, this game is amazing. I don't know why more people haven't played this game. I don't know why it isn't like revered as a classic, because it really should be.
Oh, it really should. So this was the one, like we said, that really got us into it. And the weird, I would say the weird is one, just that it's such a like different departure from the original version of it. Like they changed it completely. It would be like taking Zelda 2 and making it play like the original Zelda. You're like, what?
Yeah, I would say the weird is definitely just Dogi smashing through walls, like just Kool-Aid Man. Like there's a lot of in the Ys game, a lot of like, wow, good thing you showed up exactly when you did, because we'd all be screwed. And usually it's like, oh, we're here for reinforcements. Oh, we're here for this. Except for Dogi, who you're like, man, I'm screwed. There's no way I'm going to get out of. Oh, yeah.
You know, you
just like breaks through the wall and saves you.
Yeah, it's hilariously convenient, but like if it wasn't so like amusing and charming, it would be dumb. It borders on stupid, but it's just good enough that you're like, I'm going to give this a pass.
Yeah, that's that one for me.
All right, but this game like really set us into the series, and after this, I went back and played Chronicles for 1 and 2, and actually this year, me and Jana both played Ys Origins, which is the last one we're going to talk about today.
So Ys Origins, obviously from the name, is the origins of the series. So this actually takes place a few thousand years, if I'm not mistaken, before the first game. And Ian had mentioned that you're like in a tower in the first 2, and they're talking about this mythical land of Ys, and this game kind of explains what's going on there. So long story short, and this is just in the intro of the game, so it's not a spoiler, the world used to be really good, got really fucked up. These 2 goddesses gave people this power through this like orb to lift a part of the world up into the sky, away from the demons that are attacking everything, and people just live on this floating island. And in the beginning of the game, the two goddesses go missing, and they've descended back down into the world where this tower is that had appeared. That's an evil tower. I don't know how towers are innately evil, but that's what it is. And you're part of a group of knights that are basically sworn to protect these goddesses, and you're going to try to find them and bring them back, essentially.
Yeah. So the big thing with Origin Story is because it takes place so far before, this is the only one where you don't play as Adol.
Yeah.
And in this one you have a choice of characters. You start off with what are their names? I know the girls, because that's who we both played as.
Yeah, we both played as the girl, who I think
name...
is the more interesting of the two characters.
Yeah. So the girl you play as is Unica. What is her name? Her last name? Tova. Unica Tova. And then the other guy you can play as is Hugo Fact. The only reason their last names are given is because who they are is important in the future of Ys games, because they're part of these family lines. But in this game, like, they're people, but who they are eventually like who their family lines are is what's important later. But Unica she was born without magic, so she just decided, fuck that, magic's for nerds, and
she just rock lead it up and was like,
she basically just rock lead it up and was like, I'm gonna get huge and just fight with a giant axe. And
yeah, I actually like playing as her way better. So the other character you can play is Hugo Fact, and he's like a magic user, and all of his attacks are just spells. So he has these like floating orb things around him that throw out spells. And there's another character that you can unlock, but I haven't played the game as him. I beat the game with Unica. I've played about halfway through the game with Hugo. I haven't played as the other guy. And in the recent releases of the game, or the most recent releases, you can play as Adol, but not in the storyline.
Yeah, just like a bonus mode.
Time attack modes and arena modes and stuff like that.
Yeah, so the story just follows this group, because it's not just knights. It's like they send knights, a few mages, and some priests. Like they send like a rescue party. It really is like a rescue party.
Yeah,
to go find the goddesses.
There's so many characters in this game.
And so basically, whoever you pick, you play through the same scenario, just different character. And you get a little bit of a different story, though, depending who you are. And I think that's a good, like, because you can pick like more to your style. I liked Unica better than Hugo.
I also liked Unica better, but
I like Unica as a character because I have a soft spot for like strong idiot character types.
Yeah.
And I also have a personal like weak spot for like not non-barbarian women who wield like axes as a weapon. Like, it doesn't show up often because usually like when someone
has a very unique and narrow soft spot.
Well, because usually when you have a character who has an axe, they're like a barbarian of some type in some way.
Yeah.
So yeah,
name two other characters that are like that.
Actually, I was going to say I shouldn't even say women. Just characters like that in general, like, you know, noble characters or knight characters that fight with axes. One of the other ones, I'm gonna fucking blow your mind with this one, because you're gonna be like, oh yeah, or you might not. You might forget this. I don't know if you ever played this game. Saga Frontier 2.
I did not play Saga Frontier 2. I played Saga Frontier, but I never played the second one.
All right, there's a character in Saga Frontier 2 called Primera, and she's part of a noble family, and she fights with 2 battle axes, and she's like a noble lady. And the reason like she joins the party in that game is because basically her parents have like 18 kids, and she's like kid number 17, so no one gives a shit about her.
Yep. In that case, you either want to be kid number 1 or kid number 18.
Yeah. and so like she, you know, and people call her parent, like her mama, like a dog in here, like, you know, it's all this noble stuff going on, and she's like, God, I hate these people. So she just learns how to fucking be a badass and dual wields battle axes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
No, Unica's battle style is really cool. One of the things that they did in this game, again, let's just go into the good. One of the good things I like about this is you pick up these like crystals throughout the game, or items throughout the game rather, that give you different abilities. So for Unica, it's like one of them is you do this like whirlwind attack that can also give you like an extended jump. One of them is like a lightning attack where you like attack with a hammer and like a hammer swing almost. And when you swing down, it like stuns enemies, or for enemies that have like really strong defenses, you can break through their defense. And then the last one is like a sword that shoots fire out of it, so you can do like long range attacks. And they make it very easy to switch between these three
Yeah,
on the
just a
fly.
button press to switch.
Yeah, yeah, very easy to switch between them. And there's not like a MP for them. It's basically like a gauge that there is MP, but that gauge refills on its own. So when you're using technique, you'll use them up, and then you wait a couple seconds, and you can use them again. And obviously, when you're playing against enemies, like different attacks work in different ways, and then some of them are better than others. I found that I favored the spin attack a lot in this game. I used it a ton. And you also have like almost like an overdrive gauge where like as you attack things and as time goes by, it'll slowly fill up, and you can do things to improve how quickly it fills. And when that increases all the way, you can go into this like mode where like every time you attack something, it'll heal you, and your attacks will go faster and do more damage. So sometimes if you did that whirlwind attack, you could really boost up your health really quickly, which was a lifesaver in a lot of the boss battles.
Yeah. One of the things I like Unica. I think one of the reasons me and John both took her is because she plays a lot more like Adol, like her play.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
It's just like very much like Adol. Where Hugo is a very different thing. My good in the game, I like that it takes place in an area that's kind of familiar but different, because it's a tower that you go to in Ys 1 and 2, but it's more filled out and more
yes,
a lot more going on with it. But you do actually go to some of the familiar areas, like the little awning that's off shot. Remember, you go there in 1.
Yeah,
and it's actually it's a remake of the song. It's actually a remake of the song from that whole area from 1. I didn't realize that until I looked up the soundtrack. Again, the soundtrack's amazing in this game. Some really good music. Some that this doesn't really stand out, but some of the when the music's really good, it's really damn good.
Really good, yeah. One thing that I really liked that you just mentioned, I want to double down on that before you move on, is I do really like going through the tower. The entire game is in this tower, and as you play, you move up and down the levels of it, like the floors of this tower. And I thought that was really cool. I really liked that, but it's like every few floors or so, the theme of the tower will change. So like these floors are lava, these ones are water. It doesn't really make sense in a tower, but it's magic.
Ain't gotta explain shit.
Anyway, go ahead. You were saying.
I was gonna say, being in one tower, it kind of helps the story stay focused on the events going on, and you know, things don't really expand. They do like. The game gives a lot more background to Ys and what happened in Ys, but it doesn't really like lose its scope to being beyond this rescue party is trying to save the 2 goddesses.
Yes, yeah, they did a much better job of making this. I would say of pretty much all of the Ys games that I played, this one had the most focused storyline. Again, it's not going to blow you away. It's not like this amazing. You're not going to cry and weep because of this storyline, but it's good. Like it serves its purpose. Again, in the Ys games, generally the story is more to drive the gameplay than vice versa, and yeah, they did a good job with it.
And I'm gonna say my last good on here is I think this one plays the best out of the 4. This plays the best.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never had to grind. The fights were tough but fair. I think the most I've died at a boss was 3 or 4 times, and like again because of the instant like continue and everything, I never felt frustrated. I was like, okay, what did I do wrong? Right, let me think about like the strategy I'm going in with here with.
I think there was one boss that I had to grind a little bit on, which was like the centipede dude that crawls around the.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm gonna put that in the good category. The bosses are very interesting in this one.
Yeah, all of them are different. All of them have like a unique spin on them. I think that was the only one I had to grind a little, and it was mainly because I wanted the ability to fill up faster.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that they did in this one is when you go to save statues or whatever, you can spend points to upgrade things for your character. So you can upgrade your armor, you can upgrade um, how fast your bar fills, how many items enemies drop, a lot of things like that. So I found that the few times that I did grind in the game, it wasn't because I felt underpowered. It was just like, oh, I want that thing. So I'll just, before I go to the next boss, I'm going to kill a few bad guys and get stuff. I don't think I ever had like a long stretch of like, oh man, I have to grind here. It was very well balanced.
Yeah.
And still difficult. Like you still couldn't just run in and hack and stuff. There were a couple bosses that you could, but they were minor ones. So I didn't really feel like it was a big deal.
Yeah. So looking at bad of this game, I would guess like one way to look at it is a little boring that the whole game just takes place in the tower.
Yeah, I guess you could take. I really like that, but I could see that being.
Yeah, you could like. I don't personally dislike it because, like I said, it's a very focus of the storyline. None of these games are super long either. I think this one.
No, I think this one's like
8 hours.
It could be
like 6
I'll
8
check
hours.
on how long the beat.
Yeah, none of these games are like overly long, so you can enjoy them at a decent pace and not feel like you're selling up a bunch of your time. And this one, because it has multiple characters, you can play through multiple times. But man, it's hard to find.
It says 12 hours, but I don't know if that's for 2 characters or 1 character.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. Like as a bad, I think.
I know one bad thing that I would say about this, and this isn't just this Ys game; they do it for all of them. But for some reason, it just felt particularly egregious in this one. Is that when you get an item, it does this like. You picked up this item, and then it plays a song. It's like do 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 do.
It sounds very much like the Metroid song.
Yeah, it sounds super similar to the Metroid song. Like they just changed a few notes to it, but it takes so fucking long, and it's not really that long. It's probably like 5 seconds, but it feels like a fucking eternity to me. Every time I got an item, I'm just like, let me skip this song, let me go.
Yeah, and I think I do have a bad is that some of the things you get, like the non. Attack items are useful in like the
one situation,
and then they're useless. And
there was one part where I got fucked over in the game because I was at the items so that you can breathe longer underwater, and I picked up an item that boosted my stats, and I was like, oh, I'm going to use that. And when I used it, I forgot to re-equip the breathing underwater item, and I fucking died. Why do I have to equip that? Why isn't that latent? Like,
yeah. No,
that annoyed me. But yeah, you have like all these inventory like do after you use them the one time, they don't do anything. And there were some that I thought like, oh, this will be cool, there'll be hidden stuff. Like there's one that's like a mask that when you wear it you can see hidden rooms. And I was like, oh, that'd be cool because like then there's probably rooms later in the game where there's like extra weapons or bad guys or blah blah. Nope. Never happens. That's you use it that one part and then it's done.
You need it to find one room for the story, and later on there's literally one point where you may use it to get an extra thing. But if you're Unica, you can just spin over the hole. You don't need to see the invisible jumps. Yeah.
Yep. It's completely unnecessary.
That would probably be my bad. Is that some of the items are like, why is this here? It served like minimal purpose in the game.
Yeah. Again, not game breaking. The game itself was actually really really fun.
I would say maybe another bad is that again. I think this is again like your problem. All the Ys games as a whole so anime tropey that I'm just like
like you're my little bro. You're not gonna be good. Spoiler: she's gonna be good. Like I have to work hard so I can prove myself to my family. Spoiler: she'll prove herself to her family. Like all of this stuff, it's like
this character. Why do you treat me like your little sister? It's not that he likes you or anything.
Spoiler alert: he's in love with her.
Yeah, it's all very like. Yeah, I know. Yeah, okay. Just
yeah, like again, but the game doesn't play like the game's like. Guess what? This is what was really happening. Yeah, I know that.
I know that.
I knew that from the beginning. I'm not a moron.
It's very funny, but it is a little frustrating. But I mean, again, I think part of this one, at least with this one, I think is the same thing with Oath, was that the characters are likable enough that I'm like, okay, fine, whatever, just be you. Don't
Yeah, yeah.
go bust through a wall. Unica, be the innocent idiot. Like, it's fine. I love you.
I will say the last bad thing that I have for this game. Again, none of these are really game breaking, but flying bad guys were fucking assholes in this game.
Yes, flying bad guys are very annoying as Unica.
Because like if you use that move that like I said, the lightning one that you strike down and it makes like a beam of lightning, that hurts them a lot. But again, there's a cooldown for that. So then they're just hitting you. So if you're playing as Unica, that's irritating. But again, not game breaking, but just like whenever there were rooms with a ton of flying bad guys, like nope, fuck it, just run through.
All right, and then so for the weird, and I think this is gonna be back in this with the stories. That's like the relationship between Yuna and the goddesses. I was just like, what is happening here? I don't understand this.
Yeah, that was one of mine. It's like you love them so much. I'm like they kind of write it in a way. It's like you mean like sexually, like
Is she in love with them?
Yeah, like I don't really like she loves them or is in love with them. Like I'm not really getting where you're going with this. Like,
and I feel like the goddesses in this, this is one of those stories where this is also a thing. This is the weird. Is like you could have solved a lot of problems if you just talked about it more than not at all. Like before you did a thing, if anyone had talked about
like
this
sitcom thing of like if anyone got their head out of their ass and just told people stuff, none of these problems would happen. Also, the last weird thing I'm gonna say, they're goddesses, but for goddesses, they seem pretty weak. Like,
yeah, that's kind of a problem to the Ys series. Like the Ys goddesses are kind of fucking punks.
It's like I feel like Adol's stronger than you, and he's just a dude. Dogi punches through walls. You're a goddess, and you're getting taken out like a bitch, man. Like,
I was gonna, yeah. I think another like a weird, and again, this is like a thing with the way the story is told, is that like, there's these other knights with you when you're Unica, and even when you're playing as Fact, as Hugo, there's other people in the tower, but like they always somehow end up right behind you after you kill the boss.
They actually do address this at one point where, like, in Hugo's, they might have done it in Unica, but in Hugo's at one point, they tell you, like, oh, some of the other knights are arriving. And he says, like, oh, they're going to slow me down because they're going to want to, like, talk about shit and, like, you know, strategize before we move out. So fuck it, I'm going to get as far through this as I can before they start slowing me down. So they do kind of address it, but yeah, that's the thing. It's like, what the fuck are the rest of you guys doing? And like in Unica's story, it seems particularly bad because like she's supposed to be the rookie, like she's supposed to be the weakest one. I'm like, I'm the weakest one, and I'm 7 floors ahead of you. What are you guys doing? You're traveling in a group. I'm by myself. I don't have magic.
I'm just kicking shit in the face. No, but I really like Unica. I really like the game. It does actually.
I will say of all of the Ys games that I've played, this one is probably my second favorite.
Yeah, I have to. I'm definitely gonna.
Felghana will always be my favorite, just because like it hit that sweet spot. It was like it surprised me. I didn't know what I was in store for. It was my first Ys game, but this one was good. It's definitely worth playing.
Yeah, I definitely think that was one of the reasons I love Felghana so much, because I jumped into it like, all right, I played 3. What are you gonna do? And then it was so good. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So it took me by surprise, and a pleasant surprise is always way better than something good you expected.
Yeah, I only played the game because our buddy Nate was like, "Oh, you should check this game out. You should play it." And it was on the Vita, and at the time, now I want everything on Switch, but at the time I just wanted everything I could get on the Vita, and so I was like, "Yeah, I'll try it." And now I own it twice because I own the Vita and PC version. But yeah, it was just a really pleasant surprise. Like I wasn't expecting it to be as good as it was.
Yep, so that's our discussion on the first 4 Ys games. We plan on playing for 6, 7, and 8 since we can't play 5.
Yeah, I've already played 7, and I can't remember if it was 4 or if it was 6 that I started, and there was like an issue with the controls with like where jumping was just like you had to do this dash jump that like is notoriously difficult to do, and there's one part of the game where you have to do it like 4 times in a row, and if you fuck up even once, you have to redo like 20 minutes of dungeon. And I was just like, fuck this game, I'm done. But I haven't played 8 yet. That one just came out on Switch, so I'm looking forward to playing that one eventually. And
Hopefully 5 will come out one day.
One day, maybe we'll get to play it.
But yeah, so we're planning on playing through them, and then we'll definitely do a second video about this. Why we spend an hour talking about these games? Because we're shilling hard for them. That's what this video is called, shilling free.
Looking at you, Xseed? Is that the company that makes it?
Famcom, Xseed? I don't know.
I think it's Xseed. But they're great games. If you haven't played them, play them. They go on sale all the time.
Yeah.
And
they're usually relatively cheap.
I would absolutely recommend starting with Oath of Felghana. It's a fantastic game. Even if you don't play the rest of the series,
play Oath of
fantastic
Felghana.
game. Do it.
Yeah, because like John brought up at the beginning, the good thing is a lot of the stories are really self-contained. So there are things that are good to know if you've played other games, but
yeah, you'll appreciate more if you've played the old ones or the ones that come before it, but you don't have to.
So I think that's it. I think play Oath and Felghana. If you like it, check out. I would then say check out Origins and then check out 1 and 2.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
So all right, until next video. Hope you guys enjoy that.
Yep. Catch you guys next time. Peace.